At the beginning of the story, we see a man named James who is currently imprisoned in the most dangerous prison in the world. He is serving a life sentence for theft and murder. The conditions inside this prison are horrifying. Prisoners kill each other even in their sleep. Only the strongest survive here. There is just one rule: kill or be killed. James has only one goal: to escape from this prison at any cost. But achieving the impossible takes time. It takes him 14 long years. Because this prison is built on a deserted island, surrounded by endless ocean in every direction. The scene then shifts back to 1938. We see James breaking into a safe and stealing diamonds. He jumps out of a window and disappears without being noticed. Moving through the crowded streets of Paris, he arrives at a club and hands the diamonds over to his boss. The boss is pleased, but warns him strictly: if James disobeys even slightly, the punishment will be death. Later, James meets his girlfriend Net. He gives her a beautiful necklace, the very same necklace he secretly kept from the stolen safe. He even admits that he kept a few diamonds for himself. However, he doesn't realize that one of his boss's men is secretly watching everything. That evening, James and Net spend intimate time together. Their closeness grows, but their happiness does not last long. The next morning, the police arrive and arrest James for the murder of a broker. Suddenly, James recalls that the mafia had brutally beaten that same broker the previous night. He understands that he's being framed. He reassures Net that everything will be fine because he was with her the entire night. But later, when they meet in jail, James tells her the truth. He says appealing in court is useless because the entire system is corrupt. Powerful people are setting him up. Soon after, the court sentences him to life imprisonment. James tells Net that his only purpose now is to escape. However, he doesn't know how long it will take. He asks her to forget him and move on with her life. A nearby prisoner overhears this conversation. His name is Jules. He tells James that escaping will require a lot of money. Soon, James and the other new prisoners undergo medical tests. They are informed that they are being transferred to a French prison from which no prisoner has ever escaped alive. On the ship transporting them, Jules points out a man named Louis Degas. Degas is an expert counterfeiter who has earned millions printing fake currency. That means he has a lot of money. James approaches Degas with an offer. He tells him that everyone on the ship wants his money and that he is in danger. James offers protection in exchange for financial support for his escape plan. This marks the beginning of one of the greatest prison escape stories ever. However, Degas refuses. He believes that as long as the guards are present, he is safe from other prisoners. But that night changes everything. A prisoner brutally kills the man sleeping beside Degas and slices open his stomach to retrieve hidden money. Degas realizes that the guards don't care if prisoners kill each other. The next morning, Degas approaches James and agrees to the deal. He promises to give James as much money as needed if James protects him until he is safely settled in prison. James clearly states that he will escape alone. Degas agrees because his court appeal is ongoing, and he believes he might be released soon. The following night, another prisoner approaches Degas with a knife. James notices and immediately attacks the man. Chaos erupts across the ship. After several minutes, the guards intervene and search all prisoners. They discover James was involved in the fight. He is punished severely, tied up so tightly that he cannot move even an inch. The next morning, the ship finally reaches the island prison. During the previous fight, Jules was stabbed in the knee and is sent directly to the hospital. The remaining prisoners enter the prison, where they meet the chief warden. The warden bluntly states that he knows they are all thinking about escape. He warns them that even if they survive the guards' bullets, the open sea outside is filled with hungry sharks. He explains the rules. First escape attempt, 2 years in solitary confinement. Second attempt, 5 years in solitary. After that, lifetime imprisonment on Devil's Island, a place worse than hell. As prison life begins, James wastes no time building connections. He speaks with the duty officer and tries to arrange work assignments in the hospital for both himself and Degas. James tries to secure hospital duty for both himself and Degas, knowing that survival in this prison requires not just strength, but intelligence. Degas also makes efforts on his side, but coming from high society, his refined manners and way of speaking irritate other inmates. One prisoner tells him bluntly that if he wants respect and protection, it will cost 1,000. James agrees, adding that they will also need cigarettes. Degas, in return, requests a notebook, saying he is an artist and needs it to draw. The next day, chaos spreads through the prison. News breaks that a prisoner has escaped from the hospital. James immediately wonders if it was Jules. The thought excites him. If someone managed to escape, then it's not impossible. James and Degas are close to getting hospital duty when the deputy warden suddenly recognizes Degas. He angrily tells him that his son-in-law was caught with fake bonds Degas had printed. As punishment, Both James and Dega are reassigned to work in the brutal quarry mines. While working in the quarry, Dega sketches a portrait of his wife. He tells James that he firmly believes she will push his appeal forward and get him released. But James is skeptical. All the money is with Dega's wife now, and whoever controls the money controls the situation. James doubts she would spend it to free him. One day, while pushing a cart, Dega complains of stomach trouble. At that moment, the money he had hidden inside his body falls to the ground. James quickly stops the cart and discreetly picks it up before the guards notice. He walks carefully, pretending nothing happened, while his mind races. That money could be crucial for their escape plan. New strategies begin forming in his head, ways to protect Dega while preparing his own escape. During a break, James meets a man named Cellier, who once lived on the same street as James. Cellier tells him that if James can arrange the escape from inside, he can arrange for friends outside to bring a boat near the island. On their way back to prison, the guards give them a ride along with a local broker, the same man who brings women to the island. James approaches him and offers $2,000 in exchange for helping them board a boat. The broker laughs and says his price is $5,000. He also makes it clear that he will remain on the island for only 3 more weeks. Time is running out, and the stakes are rising. Back in prison, more inmates attempt to attack Dega. Once again, James shields him. The fight becomes so violent that James bites off a prisoner's ear. Furious, he later shouts at Dega, saying he keeps risking his life because Dega is an easy target. But Dega reminds him, that was the deal. That night, Dega breaks down emotionally. He tells James he wants to escape with him because he no longer believes he will survive long enough to see his appeal succeed, but James refuses. In his eyes, Dega is too weak and would only slow him down. Still, James continues calculating every move carefully. In this prison, even the smallest mistake could destroy everything. Every man is dangerous. He knows that survival here requires patience and careful thinking, not just courage. Soon, all prisoners are gathered in the yard. Jules is brought forward. His escape attempt failed, and he killed a guard during it. The punishment is swift and brutal. He's executed by guillotine. Dega is forced to carry Jules' body into the jungle. Seeing the blood pouring from the severed neck completely shatters him. When a guard begins whipping Dega, James attacks the guard from behind and knocks him unconscious. Seizing the opportunity, James attempts to escape. Guards chase him, but he manages to evade capture, at least temporarily. Dega is taken back to prison that night. James reaches the broker's house, where the boat was supposed to be arranged. But instead of help, he finds betrayal. Armed men surround him. The broker explains that no matter how much James offers, the chief warden pays double to have escaped prisoners returned. And just like that, James is captured and taken back to prison once again. James is dragged back to prison. The warden coldly informs him that he will now spend the next 2 years in solitary confinement on a separate island. The warden makes it clear, the purpose of solitary confinement is to break a prisoner's mind and strip away every last bit of hope. There is one strict rule there: complete silence at all times. Even in these brutal conditions, James tries to hold himself together. One day, the same guard whom James had previously knocked unconscious comes and mercilessly beats him. Later, James finds a coconut floating in his water bowl, along with a small note that says, "You will receive 1 coconut every day." James immediately understands. This must be Dega. He probably bribed a guard. That small act of support reignites hope inside James. Now his mind constantly works on 2 things: escaping this prison and protecting Dega. Each small event strengthens his determination. He decides to rebuild both his body and mind. He begins exercising daily inside the cell. But one day, a guard inspects his water and finds the coconut. The warden is informed immediately. The warden demands the truth. Who is sending you these items? James refuses to reveal Dega's name. The punishment is instant. His food ration is cut in half. Hunger begins to torture him. But stronger than hunger is the hope still alive inside him. Months pass on half rations. His body weakens drastically. His face becomes hollow. His strength fades, and mentally he begins to break. The torture continues for months. One day, the warden returns and offers him proper food again. He repeats the same question. James remains silent. As an act of defiance, he tries to force the food back toward the warden. Furious, the warden orders him thrown into complete darkness. Locked alone in a pitch-black cell, James drifts into memories of his past happiness. Slowly, those memories turn into hallucinations. He sees Dega, calm, silent, artistic. Then he imagines a safe built into the prison wall. He tries to break it open. He struggles desperately, but fails. Suddenly, the safe opens on its own. In that moment, It feels as though a locked door inside James's own mind has opened. 2 years pass. One day, guards find James unconscious and take him to the hospital. There he learns that during these 2 years, Dega earned the warden's trust. Dega now manages the warden's financial accounts. James realizes how patiently and intelligently Dega maneuvered the situation in his favor. This gives James new strategic possibilities. Slowly, James regains his strength. His mind once again focuses entirely on escape. Dega visits him in the hospital. James's face is blank, completely emotionless. Dega apologizes, saying James suffered because of him. He also admits that James was right about his wife. She betrayed him and married his lawyer. Suddenly, James smirks slightly. Dega understands. James is pretending to be mentally unstable to stay in the hospital. When Dega asks why he never revealed his name to the warden, James calmly replies, "Because I knew you wouldn't survive it. That is the true cost of friendship." James says that if he ever escapes, he will live his life completely differently. Solitary confinement has changed him deeply. Then, Dega shares critical news. On Sunday, local officials will visit the prison. The warden plans to show a film in the yard for them. During that time, most guards will be distracted, a perfect opportunity to escape. James says they will need Cellier's help, since he can arrange the boat. After that, James deliberately begins acting erratically and shouting at Dega to leave him alone. Dega understands the signal and tells the guards that James is becoming uncontrollable. The guards attempt to sedate him, but James cleverly hides the medication instead of swallowing it. Later that night, James overhears that a hospital guard is harassing a prisoner named Moret. Instantly, a new plan forms in his mind. Now he not only wants to save Moret, but also use this opportunity to strengthen his escape plan. James's intelligence, patience, and psychological tactics are now fully in play. Every step he takes is calculated and precise. He shares his escape plan with a prisoner named Mashed. He tells him that for the plan to succeed, Mashed must distract a guard at the right moment. Now the game has reached its final stage. On Sunday night, the hospital guard agrees to Mashed's distraction. But because of the sensitive situation, the execution of the plan must be even smarter and more precise than ever. Cellier deliberately injures himself so that he can be admitted to the hospital and become part of the escape plan. James hands Dega all the sleeping pills he had secretly saved. The plan is simple but risky. On Sunday, those pills will be mixed into the guards' drinks. Sunday evening arrives. The 4 prisoners begin executing their plan. Dega serves the guards their drinks, already laced with the sedatives. Meanwhile, Mash distracts one guard by asking to meet him alone in the bathroom. As the guard's attention shifts, James and Cellier quickly turn their bedposts into makeshift weapons and knock him unconscious. The 3 quietly slip past the drugged guards and wait for Dega. But suddenly, heavy rain begins pouring down. The visiting officials and guards rush indoors. Cellier's timing starts to fall apart. They briefly consider leaving Dega behind and running, but James refuses. We wait for him. Dega finally arrives, revealing that he managed to steal the tower keys. With the rain and power outage creating darkness, they can use the storm as cover and escape through the tower. The group reaches the tower and jumps, but during the leap, Dega injures his leg. James and Mashed lift him and push forward. They meet Cellier at the shore. Cellier helps them board a small boat, and finally, they reach open sea. They are free. But freedom doesn't last long. There is a hole in the boat. They must constantly throw water out to keep it from sinking. Cellier coldly tells James that the boat can only support 3 men. Since Dega is injured, they must abandon him. James ignores her, but then they see a storm forming in the distance. Cellier grows desperate. She pulls out a knife, and chaos erupts. In the struggle, Mashed is thrown overboard. Cellier nearly kills James, but he uses his strength and sharp instincts to fight back. This time, Dega steps in. Despite his injury, he attacks Cellier and stabs her repeatedly. Mashed somehow climbs back onto the boat. The boat still floats, but the storm and tension are far from over. They throw Cellier's body into the sea. Dega gathers her soaked sketches, as if preserving the memory of that moment. The storm intensifies. Eventually, the raging sea overwhelms them, and they lose consciousness. When James wakes up, he finds himself inside a small hut. Outside, he meets a nun who tells him they are in Colombia. She says she knows where he came from. Then she adds, "Everything is forgiven, as long as you repent and find God." James immediately searches for Dega and explains everything. They need to leave. But Cellier's death has deeply shaken Dega. James decides to go alone. However, just as he steps outside, he sees a police car approaching. He runs back to warn Dega, but before they can escape, the guards spot them. Mashed attempts to flee, but is shot and severely wounded. He had already made the greatest sacrifice in the plan. It turns out the nun had called the police. James's second attempt at redemption and freedom collapses. In the end, James receives 5 more years of punishment. When he completes that sentence, he emerges looking frail and aged. Even the warden is shocked. No one has ever survived 5 years in solitary confinement. The warden asks him, "What gave you the strength to endure?" James remains silent. The answer lies within him. He is then transferred to Devil's Island, a place where he will spend the rest of his life. The island's towering cliffs make escape nearly impossible. Inside Devil's Island prison, he sees broken, half-mad prisoners. But among them, he finds Dega. Dega had been sent there 5 years earlier. He welcomes James warmly, shows him his small shelter, feeds him, and helps him recover. After some time, James walks outside and stares at the vast ocean. In his eyes, there is once again hope, and a new plan forming. The story is not over. James's intelligence and courage continue pushing him toward impossible challenges. One night, he wakes Dega and tells him he has another escape plan. He explains that the waves around the island are extremely powerful, and this time, those very waves might become their way to freedom. James explains his final plan. They just need to build a raft from coconuts, jump into the sea, and let the powerful currents carry them to the mainland. Dega helps him construct the raft. The two men work through the night, tying coconuts together carefully, making sure the raft will survive the violent waves. Every knot carries hope. Every movement is filled with determination. But on the day they are supposed to test the plan, Dega stops. He tells James quietly, "This time, I'm not going. I belong here now. But you don't. You have to do this alone." James understands. This escape will be on his own. He pushes the raft into the water and takes the first step toward freedom. Then, unexpectedly, Dega jumps in after him. He manages to keep his balance and avoid falling. The two men shout with joy and adrenaline rushing through them. James swims forward, toward freedom. Years later, in 1991, an elderly James returns to France. He hands over the memoir of his prison years to a publisher. Along with it are all the drawings Dega had created. Even now, James is still officially wanted in France, but he returns because this is where he wants his story to be told. This film is based on the real-life story of Henri Charrière, the man known to many as James. And with that, this incredible journey comes to an end. What did you think about this story? Did James truly deserve freedom, or was fate always testing him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all. If you enjoyed this explanation, make sure to hit the like button and help this video reach 1,000 likes. As soon as we hit that target, I'll bring you another powerful movie breakdown. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an intense story like this again. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe and keep watching great cinema. Gall.